What's up, beautiful human? Welcome back to the Ryan Magic Show. This episode is going to be a little bit more direct, and I'm going to be deep diving into what has a little kind of jokey title, Take the Red Pill. But I'm going to be talking about the deadly serious meaning behind The Matrix. Not my favorite movie of all time, unpopular thing to say, don't really care. I just like the metaphor of the red pill and the blue pill. And there is some serious potency if you understand it at an experiential level. You understand how it applies to your life. Now, a lot of people think, oh, it's just about going after the red pill, go after my biggest life. A blue pill, stay in my normal life. A lot of people think red pill is the part that's trying to get into conspiracy theories and bring down the reptilian police that just rule the planet, the Illuminati. No, it's not about either of those things. There's a more nuanced and powerful meaning behind what the red pill insinuates. Now, if you've gotten into this episode, first let me celebrate you because you are following the white rabbit, metaphorically speaking, by jumping into this episode. That just doesn't even have a mainstream outcome. It's just a wild title, and you don't even know what this is going to be about. You could speculate, but you don't. You've just jumped in. So celebrating you for that, giving you a virtual high five. Boom, slap it down. It's epic. And if you look at my life over the last 7 years, to the average person, they would be, why? What are you doing? Why have you started meditating? Why are you having all this spaciousness and this chilled lifestyle? Why have you been learning about different religions and philosophies and yogic wisdom and studying Buddhism and Vedic wisdom? And why have you been doing plant medicine? Why have you been doing all this stuff? And why would you throw away a business that was making millions of dollars a year? And the reason that someone would say that is because they don't understand the topic that we're going to go through today. And I will say that the most powerful, liberating thing that you could ever touch in this lifetime is accessible from what I'm offering or inviting you to either step into or continue to walk down, depending on what stage of your path you're on. And honoring that. But this could be the thing that frees you forever, what we go through today. So, my role as a teacher is to make things simple. And this is a very simple theory piece, but I just need to pre-frame that as I go through this content, do your best not to think you know what I'm saying. Let it land and let it digest. Because the essence of what I'm going to uncover as the red pill today is very difficult to see if you haven't already taken it. And so if you just listen to what I say, even if you're into spirituality, that doesn't mean you've taken the red pill. And I'll explain as we go through. But if you get yourself into a psychological pattern of just assuming that you know already, you will miss the transmission. You might miss the transmission. So just inviting you to open yourself up to receiving the fullness of this message today. And I'm going to say that if you do consume and digest what I'm offering today, it will give you the freedom that you've wanted your entire life. It will. It will. So I'm going to pre-frame by saying that red pill is and blue pill is a metaphor for the different states of consciousness through which we can live our lives in according to my framework of life. I group and conceptualize the entire world of personal development and spiritual development into two simple categories. And the way that I do that is by saying that you can live your life. And if you've heard me say this before, keep yourself open because you might miss the transmission. We can either be in our head or our heart. That's it. You can live life in your head or you can live life in your heart in a moment, and you can switch between the two. And so this is a state of consciousness. When you're in your head, you are seeing life through the lens of fear because you are accessing the part of being a human being that is the human part of that human being, the animal part of that human being. And that animal part, that human part, that fear consciousness is also known as survival brain. We could call it anatomically, like without anatomy, we could say, hey, that's the amygdala. It is the fear center of our mode of operation. And so we have this really unique polarity between living in our head and living in our heart. Now, the head is fear-based, but when most people hear that idea, they assume fear means playing small. That's not necessarily what it means. And this is the part that is you're going to be very perceptive of to understand what I'm going to continue to share, break down, and re-communicate around, because I'm going to reteach this concept with multiple angles and deeper layers as we go through the episode today. And it's really important that if you want to get this transmission and you're just feeling pulled to be here, that you just continue to stay open and re-listen for the first time until it sinks deeper and deeper into your awareness and deeper into your consciousness to unveil the truth that I'm pointing out. So we have our fear consciousness, our head. That's one lens through which we can view reality. And most people are having it, because in the Matrix, Neo gets offered, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? Most people aren't even getting offered a pill. You being on this episode today, I'm playing Morpheus, just playing dress-ups today and just playing that role. But you have red and blue as an option now. But the average person doesn't have. And average not being average isn't a bad thing. Just statistically, not many people get to a point of awareness where they understand what's the difference between the red and the blue pill. So they're not being offered it. So the average person is already living in a blue pill way, and they've never been offered the blue pill. But living in the head is the blue pill in this metaphor. Living in fear consciousness is the blue pill. So I'm going to unveil deeper and deeper what that means as we go through. Now, to start, we have blue pill, fear consciousness, the being in the head. It is a part of our psychology that has one sole motive. Stay alive. Stay alive. And we are very, very unique as a species compared to other animals in this planet, because we don't just have the human aspect, the animal aspect, the fear consciousness. We also have the being in human being. The being, or as I call it, the heart, is the red pill. We have that being. We're human beings and we have both. You don't see rhinoceros beings and crocodile beings and dog beings. You just have dogs, crocodiles, rhinoceros. We have this being aspect. In other words, we have the capacity to experience this second lens of reality, and that is the red pill. So if you think about the Matrix movie, Neo is being offered the chance to see beyond what he's ever seen before. And that's the drama of the movie. What's he going to choose? Is he going to go back and just forget everything? Or is Neo going to choose the red pill and have a different view of reality exposed to him? He's got to choose. And if he chooses the red pill, he's going to have to leave behind everything else. And there is a nuance to the reality of that drama in your real life. But once you see, you're not going to unsee. Yeah. Once you've seen, you're not going to, I'll say that more accurately. Once you see you're going to have permanently evolved to a point where you've had the wake up call, and then you will unsee again, but you'll continue to see more and more and more. And that's why it's a choice that's given. And that's why I'm giving you the choice as well. This episode is, hey, take the red pill. So if you listen to the episode, you're taking the red pill. If you leave now, seriously, if you leave now, then you're taking the blue pill, which is completely fine. But you're not going to get the medicine that red pill contains. But anyway, enough hype in this. We have blue pill, fear consciousness, being in the head. We have red pill, which is fulfillment consciousness, and that's being in the heart. That's the red pill. And there is a distinct difference between the two in the way in which someone approaches life once they've digested the medicine of the red pill versus if they're already just living in blue pill consciousness. When someone digests the red pill, they receive medicine which shifts their priority in life. Really listen to this point. The prioritization of living in the heart is fulfillment. Fulfillment. That's the top priority for someone that lives in the consciousness, the lens, the state of consciousness of the red pill, of the heart. They choose, I'm living my life for fulfillment, not for survival. For fulfillment, not based on fear consciousness. We're choosing fulfillment. Now, what does fulfillment mean? A lot of people think fulfillment means everything's easy breezy. Everybody, like the association to the word fulfillment is, oh my gosh, I'm so fulfilled. It's so light. It's so lovey-dovey. It's so peaceful. It's just the fun stuff. That's not necessarily what fulfillment means. Fulfillment means that you are choosing to live your life in a way that's going to give you the most presence. That's essentially what it means. I'll give you a few synonyms or a few qualities of what it means to live with fulfillment. Presence, alignment, and in other words, being whole, wholesome, and holy. Whole, wholesome, and holy. Whole, you're coming from a place of fullness, not inadequacy, fear, I'm not enough, I'm going to die, my life's in jeopardy in this activation. But no, I'm full. Like Joe Dispenza says, he says the animal versus being supernormal. Yeah. When you're being the animal, that's not a place to change. That's not a place to evolve. That's not a place to create miracles. When you're in your supernatural state, you're already full. Survival mechanism is not in gear. You're not in the animal where it's fight, flight. I got to eat, kill things, or I'm going to be killed. That consciousness is regulated. You're not in survival brain. You're not in your amygdala. Your prefrontal cortex is open when you're in the heart, when you're taking the red pill. And you have the awareness, because you're not think about being in an argument with a partner and you've lost track of time. You don't even know what you're arguing about anymore. Where were you for that 20 minutes? You're in fear consciousness. You didn't have any free will. It was just defensiveness. You were being moted. You were being propelled by fear consciousness, by your amygdala. And you weren't choosing how you want to show up. You weren't living in alignment with your values. You weren't present. Definitely weren't present. You weren't fulfilled, aligned. You were out of alignment in that moment. You were choosing to live in a version of you that you don't even want to live in because you're in the blue pill. You're in fear consciousness. You're defensive. And all presence goes when we go into that mode. And most people live their entire life in the blue pill, right? And so what happens is when we are choosing fulfillment, our prioritization of fulfillment, when we're in that lens, we are prioritizing the quality of our engagement to life, the experience of our life. And the key differential between someone that is choosing fulfillment, being whole, wholesome, and holy, the key difference between someone that's choosing fulfillment in life is that they have been willing to put their attachments to the side in order to gift themselves the most aligned, fulfilling experience of life. The person who is choosing to take the red pill is putting the blue pill in the toilet, putting their attachments away. No thanks. No longer am I going to desperately fear-based pursue. I've got to have status. I've got to go more. I've got to prove myself to mommy and daddy. I've got to look this certain way. I've got to dress this certain way. My boyfriend doesn't love me. My girlfriend doesn't. Not being powered and fueled by fear, all those attachments get put to the side. And instead, you are whole enough that you give yourself permission to prioritize a fulfilling experience as the number one priority. And that fulfilling experience will naturally look wholesome and holy. Wholesome, if you're feeling whole, you naturally prioritize living wholesomely. If you're feeling whole, you naturally want to be kind to people. You naturally want to eat healthy. You naturally want to have beautiful, meaningful experiences in life. That's just natural. That's a natural repercussion of feeling connected to wholeness, to your heart. It's natural. And being holy, which I would say a synonym is sacred. Sacred means intentional and special. That's what sacred is in my books. So if you're being holy, you're being intentional and you're prioritizing what's special. And that can only be done with awareness. Someone can only see clearly when they're in their heart. So it is impossible, and this is why, again, Morpheus says to Neo, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? If you take the blue pill, you'll forget everything. You'll forget. And I call this phenomena of forgetting being in head hypnosis. Head, fear consciousness. And it's like you enter this hypnotic state where you've forgotten. And if you think about the word forget, it means you're forgetting things. It means you're attached. You're desperately grasping, clinging. Give me. I need. I'm not enough. I'm empty. I'm scared. Please give me more. I'm forgetting. Whereas when you remember, you take all those parts of you that you've pushed away. Because to be forgetting and feeling empty, you're like, I got to get this to be enough. I've got to get this to be enough. All these externals, I got to get this. I got to get this because I'm scared. I'm in fear consciousness. I'm in blue pill consciousness. When we go into our heart, we remember. And what that means is we remember, we get the members that we have forgotten about, that we've pushed away indirectly in the moment when we've said, I'm not enough. I need to grasp for this. I need to get this because I'm not enough. I'm scared. Give me. I've got all these attachments. I must get that promotion. I must meet my man. I must get six-figure business. I must get out of this job. I'm not enough. I'm so embarrassed. I'm alone. I'm not doing good enough. All those voices, it's essentially coming from a place of lack and emptiness. And when we step into our heart, when we step into that place of wholeness, we naturally remember. We bring the parts of ourselves that we've pushed away and forgotten about. We remember them. We bring all those parts of ourselves back and we become whole again. become whole again. And when we feel whole, because we're always whole, so we're not becoming whole, we're just remembering that we are already whole. And when we do that, we regulate ourselves. We get out of a nervous system overdrive, dysregulation, lost homeostasis, and we get back to being centered. And in that place of being centered, we can see clearly. The moment that you come out of that head hypnosis state that you enter in an argument, you're like, why were we even arguing? What were we even arguing about? I forgot what even was just happening because I was in a hypnotic state. I was in head hypnosis. Head hypnosis is the blue pill. And what I'm going to be talking about in this episode, and now that I've really pushed the nuance and the difference between head and heart, fear and fulfillment, red pill, blue pill, the difference between these two really is that one, you have awareness, and one, you're in head hypnosis. And what I'm going to be talking about in this episode are the strategies that head hypnosis uses to keep you in that blindness, keep you in ignorance, keep you forgetting. How does the head keep you there? And this is what I'm saying. In this episode, I will be very clear again. Pretty much, virtually 99% of the population are in blue pill consciousness all of the time. Even those people that are out there, celebrities, even people that are really driven and they're making their business work and they've got lots of money and they've got financial freedom. Even people who are going to cacao ceremonies and into spirituality, 99% or more of the population are living under blue pill consciousness. And I'm going to tell you what that looks like. And as soon as I explain the strategy of head hypnosis and how it keeps you captive, you're going to be able to relate to it and be like, oh, yes, okay, I identify with all those. Oh my gosh, I've been living in head hypnosis. Now, before we move forward, this isn't just my claims. I found this awareness through meditation and then just waking up and becoming a lot more aware to the point that I could see. But I'm not the only one that points to these truths. Eckhart Tolle also talks about being in a hypnosis-like state. Yeah. Napoleon Hill calls this drifting. I've just drifted off and I've forgotten again. And I don't have awareness. And I'm just being piloted by my fear consciousness, by my head. And I'm in head hypnosis. I haven't even got awareness that I've forgotten. You're not going to remember until you come out of it. Go, holy moly, I've got awareness again. I literally have been piloted by stress for 3 weeks in hypervigilance, and I'm only just becoming aware of it now. So it is a pretty well-documented idea. It's just called different things. A beautiful thought leader, who's a Buddhist thought leader, but also an acclaimed best-selling author, Tara Brach. Tara Brach is the author of Radical Acceptance, Radical Forgiveness as well. Those 2 books, many more. That is the 2 popular ones that come to mind. And she calls this trance. You can be in a trance-like state. Carl Jung used to call this the unconscious, which he would refer to as living below the line. And he would say being in the heart is being above the line. So below and above, that's essentially how Carl Jung used to put it. But different people would call this different things. The average person in spirituality will say being in the ego, the identity, being identified is a way to label being in what I call head hypnosis. So this is all blue pill consciousness. Yeah. Muji, the Jamaican spiritual guru, calls this the mind. You're stuck in the mind traps. And so there's lots of different ways of, so a lot of people call it the victim. William Whitecloud will say it's the victim. and you're not in your creator. The creator is when you have awareness and you can choose what you want to do with your life. You have that awareness again. Okay. So anyway, look, the blue pill, just to identify, what does it look like to be in fear consciousness, to be in head hypnosis? Well, this is the tricky thing. It literally just means that you're being powered by fear. And the reason it can be very difficult to have awareness over is that being in head hypnosis can look so functional. Being in head hypnosis can look so functional. So just to be clear, the entire time I built my $10 million empire, donating over $100,000 to charity, making millions of dollars, having a big team, changing lots of lives. I think I worked with over 1,500 coaches on that journey and helping them help more people. Traveled around the world, big team, into personal growth and development, intending to make a difference. The entire time I was in fear consciousness. The entire time I was in head hypnosis. What was my fear-based pursuit? Well, for me, because I grew up, and if you don't understand the different types of fear, go back and listen to my 2 solo episodes, the 6 types of fear part 1 and the 6 types of fear part 2. They're long episodes, but they're very thorough and they're very important because head hypnosis is triggered by those 6 types of fear. That's what puts someone into head hypnosis, those 6 types of fear, which are all a fear of death. Because remember, blue pill, fear consciousness, being in the head is all survival brain. It switches on because that aspect of our consciousness is trying to keep us safe. And the way that it does that is by controlling us. So head hypnosis is ultimately the controller, that archetype. And the way that it controls us, it's a 3-pronged, it's more than 3-pronged, but there are 3 main prongs. 3 main strategies that the head will use, fear conscious will use to keep in control so it can protect you. That's what it believes that it's doing. Yeah. It's well-meaning, but it's the human survival aspect of our consciousness. The heart is also well-meaning, but it already knows that you're safe because it knows so much more than the mere limits of this physical world. The heart is spiritual in essence, but integrates throughout the spiritual, emotional, and physical layers of reality. Okay? So it's a 3-pronged approach. If I use my example of being driven for my entire life by the fear of parents, it's one of the 6 types of fear. So I believed that if I wasn't the greatest of all time at something, that I wouldn't be loved by my dad or mum. So the fear of parents, which you can understand more if you go into the 6 types of fear part 2, the fear of parents in summary is I have the delusion that I'm still dependent on my parents for survival. And therefore, my survival script that I wrote in my mind for how I need to show up to adhere to my parents' rules so that they still love me, so that they protect me and keep me safe because I'm a kid and I need them to protect me. If not, I'm going to die. And so we have this programming in our head, this script, this rule book that we write based on how we're raised when our parents give us positive strokes. Yeah, that's good. Keep doing that. Good boy, good girl, whatever. Or don't do that. That's bad. Do not project your voice when we have guests over. It's rude. Children are here to be seen, not heard. That old chestnut. That sculpts our rules. Okay, cool. I'm going to stay more internal. I'm not going to project and express myself. That is a fear of parents that is determining that behavioral pattern. The fear of parents, in a nutshell, is our personality or our identity or our ego. So for me, my personality was built in, it could be everyone's personalities are so complex. But if I summarize it really simply, I've got mama's boy, which made me a pleaser in my ego, and mega driven, mega success driven because of my dad being a very disciplinary, success driven person. He raised me in a way where he wanted me to be the best. And I developed this idea, if I'm not really nice and I'm a good boy, and if I don't go and give every last breath and everything I do, mommy and daddy aren't going to love me and I'm not going to be safe because they'll abandon me. And if they abandon me when I'm 5, I'm dead in the wild by myself. That's the conditioning, right? So that you could look at me during my pursuit from 18 to 25 when I made over $10 million in my own businesses, changing lives, traveling around the world, running retreats, 4-story house, beautiful girlfriend, studying all this cool wisdom, doing trauma work, NLP, this internal stuff. But the entire mode of operation was head hypnosis. It was I was powered by the blue pill that entire time because I didn't even have awareness that I was desperately attached to being a mega somebody. I was desperately attached to being a good boy, a nice guy, being liked by everyone, because that's how I was raised. That was the fear of parents. That was my fear of parents, that one category of the 6 types of fears that I talk about. My personality formed under that delusion of dependence. Hey, be mega successful, be a big achiever, and you better be good. You better give a lot. You better be nice. You better be kind. And they're 2 very celebrated things in society, ambition and kindness. And so I was an ambitious, kind person, and I was still driven by fear the entire time and in blue pill consciousness. So this is why it can be difficult sometimes to recognize, when are we in blue pill? When are we in red pill? When are we in our head? When are we in our heart? When are we in head hypnosis? And if you're in hypnosis, you don't know you're in hypnosis. If you've ever seen one of those shows where there's someone that's a master of hypnosis that puts people into a hypnotic state, and then they get them to do all these silly things. They don't know they're doing those things when they're in there. Just like that, the way that our head works and in head hypnosis is that it has all these things that it's trying to avoid you doing. It's trying to, your head, your human, your animal, whose sole job is survival, is trying to get you to avoid anything that you're afraid, that's a programmed fear, which could be based on how you were raised. It could be, the 6 types of fears are fear of change, doing anything new, out of control, danger, threat, don't do that, as the mind tells you. Fear of rejection, abandonment, judgment, that's another category. Fear of what I call pain, but it's your primary survival needs like food and shelter. Yeah. And also physical harm. That's also under that same category as like primitive survival needs. Then we also have the fear of emotions, being vulnerable emotionally, the fear of parents, which is our personality, and the fear of trauma, which is anything that has caused pain for us in the past, we avoid. And that's conditioned through our life. So we have these 6 things, and our mind's just like, avoid all of that stuff. Avoid rejection, avoid change, avoid anything that could lead you to jeopardizing your food and shelter. Avoid going against the rule book that your parents gave you, the way they raised you. Don't go outside your ego and personality. Stay in there. Don't show emotional vulnerability. And don't do anything that's caused pain in the past. Trauma. All those. So that's what the head hypnosis is doing. It's piloting you to avoid those 6 things. Now, a lot of things in life could cause that. So the head, the survival mind, is hypervigilantly controlling your life to avoid what it perceives to be the biggest threat at any one time. And if you are being led by your head and it's controlling you, you're in head hypnosis. You're blue pill consciousness. When you're in blue pill consciousness, you don't have free will. So the way that it can look is you're just in your job. Your job's okay. It pays the bill. Your heart really wants to go traveling, but your head will give you these are the 3 prongs. These are the 3 strategies that head hypnosis uses, that blue pill consciousness uses. Blue pill consciousness uses stories. So just feed you stories that you believe so that you don't do what it's afraid you're going to do. Stories is one. Addictions is another. I'm going to go in depth into these three. And the third one is protective patterns, personality patterns. Okay. They're the three ways that head hypnosis keeps you under control. It uses these three things. So if you start getting close to changing and that fear of change comes in, and your head's like, I've got to keep them alive. Oh my gosh, they're going to change. And change is coming. Then head hypnosis is going to use one of those three things or a combination of all those three things. So the first one that's really easy to identify is that it's going to, actually, I'm not going to do the first. We'll just go in order. So the first one, which is also pretty easy to see when it's brought into the light, is stories. The stories are such an easy win for the head to use to stop you moving or doing anything that could cause problems, could cause you to go outside your comfort zone, essentially. So head hypnosis can just give you a story. Let's say, for example, your alignment is to start your own business. If the head gives you a story that you're not qualified enough to start your own business or you don't know enough about business, that's a great story. If you bite on that story and you believe it, you're not going to start the business until you know a ton more. So if the head can just give you a simple story like that, don't know enough, and you bite on that story, it's like, yes, I've kept them under control. They ain't going to start their own business till they know way more about business. So I've just bought myself 2 years of them not changing. So that's how fear consciousness works. That's how blue pill works. But if you can't see the way that your head hypnosis is working, you're still in head hypnosis. And that's why this whole episode's about wake up. Wake up. Your head is running your show. Your fear consciousness is running the show. And it is 2.5 times more powerful than your heart. It's all consuming. It can use any of these three things I'm going to say to keep you sedated, keep you under control, and stop you from doing something that could jeopardize your safety in its eyes, which is not true or accurate at all. So it could feed you a story. Let's say, for example, you are single and you've been single for a while. If you have a story that men just there's not many conscious men out there, right? If that's what your head has fed you, not many conscious men out there, and you believe it and you bite that story, you bite on it, then head hypnosis is like, yes, gotcha. Because if you believe that there's not many conscious men out there, you ain't going to do anything to try to find one. So easy, sweet. They believe the story. Hell yes, they're still under my control. As the controller, I've still got them under control. They're still in trance. They're still sedated. They're still in hypnosis. They're not going to do the thing that could cause emotional vulnerability, the fear of emotions. They're not going to do the thing that could cause fear of rejection. It's not good. They're not going to repeat painful experiences from their past, their upbringing. Thank gosh they bought on that story. If it's about sales and you've got a belief, sales is evil. If you believe sales is evil, you're never going to sell. So perfect story. You're not going to do the thing that your mind perceives as a threat. Okay. So you can see how stories are very powerful. They're very powerful at influencing you to not go into the fear zone, not activate anything that could be perceived as different or a threat or create the fear of rejection, potential threat of rejection or change or losing money, losing food and shelter. Yeah, it's just going to keep you put under control. And this is what I'm saying. You might be, quote unquote, safe, predictable, comfortable, monotonous, the blue pill, what Morpheus says, yeah, just go back to your normal life. 99% of people live, but you'll forget about this whole experience. Just live in there. Just live under the guise of head hypnosis, of the fear consciousness. You're not going to see everything because you're going to be in hypnosis, but you'll be safe. It'll be normal. You just go back to what you know, the familiar. Yeah. If you want to do the red pill, you're going to see. And the reason that the red pill is scary is because it means activating the fear response in your body as you make decisions in your life, because you've got to go against what your head is desiring for safety, which means you activate more fear, in the moments, but with the awareness that you have, you grow, you develop, you expand. You're leading your aligned life that's most fulfilling, most aligned. You activate the most presence, and you're living your empowered life with free will. You have freedom. You don't have freedom when you're in fear consciousness, because you're not even aware that you're being powered by the head. If you bought into a story that stopped you doing something you love or that's aligned for you in your life, and you just feel like you've got free will, nah, I'm in a great position. I love being single. But you don't. That's a lie. It's a lie that you bit on, and you grab the bait from the head and you believe that. No, my life's so good right now. Everything's going great. I've got a great job. I feel super like I'm making lots of progress in it. Maybe not. Only you know the answer to that. But most people are spitting lies as an automated repeat. They don't actually have free will because their fear consciousness is controlling their direction. And this is the thing. Like I said, I was in fear consciousness. I still fall into it every day, but I was being powered purely by fear consciousness for 7+ years when I was desperately trying to meet my attachments. So anytime you're attached to something, you're in fear consciousness. You're in head hypnosis. Anytime you have a strong attachment to anything, I'm attached. I need to get this. I need to get that. I need to get more money. I need to get clients. I need to get my business off the ground. I need to get out of this job. I need to be single. I need to exit this relationship. I need to find someone. I need to travel. Anytime there's a need, like you're in fear consciousness, because you don't need it if you're in the heart. The heart is a patient. It's whole, so it's not desperate for anything. It chooses the experience from a place of free will, this is a way that it's referred to in Vedic wisdom. I am fulfillment, and I'm taking my bliss on an excursion. I'm not desperately trying to meet it and find fulfillment. I am fulfilled, and I'm taking my fulfillment on an excursion. I'm taking my bliss on an excursion. What do we want to do today? Where do we want to go today? How do we want to live today? I'm already full. I'm not desperately need to get my business on the ground. I'm so far behind. Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. I told everyone I was going to break through and I haven't got enough likes on my post today. And oh my gosh, my friend just grew their business and their launch was so successful. What about mine? That's head hypnosis. That is blue pill consciousness. And it's not something to feel guilty about. It's something to feel compassionate for. Because if you're in blue pill consciousness, then you're suffering because you don't have presence. You've got a lot of inner critic. You've got a lot of suffering. If you're in awareness, you feel whole where you are. So you're experiencing the beauty and richness of a whole, wholesome, holy life filled with love and growth. And the underlying state that you're in is presence. So you're getting to extract the meaning, the richness, the fullness from life. Fulfillment. You're feeling full. And that's a beautiful state to be in. Because then everything's optional. You're not desperately attached and feeling less than and lacking. You're in the driver's seat. You're like, well, I'm whole. What do I want to do now? Yeah. I'm full now. What do I want to do? And you're taking your bliss on an excursion. That's freedom. That's red pill consciousness. That's living in the heart is the way that I often refer to it. Okay. But if you are being controlled by your head, your survival brain, because it's trying to help you, it's trying to keep you alive, but it's misinformed because most of the survival needs were based on living in tribes in the wild. That's why you needed to be afraid of rejection, because if you got rejected from the 4 potential partners in the entire tribe, you just willy-nilly got rejected in there, well, they might talk to each other and you may never procreate ever again your entire life. It's not like we have Tinder where you can just swipe and there's millions of people. You literally have maybe 3 potential partners in the whole tribe. So of course there's stakes. The stakes are high. And if you do get rejected by someone outside romantic interests in the tribe, well, they might just out you from the tribe. They may just say, cool, you're gone, and abandon you. And if they do, you're dead because you're not going to survive by yourself in the wild. You need the tribe with the collective set of skills and support to fend off other tribes, to fend off animals, to trade skills where some people gather, some people hunt, some people build shelter, some people tend to the fire so there's warmth. Some people are getting clothes for the winter and making them out of animal skins, and everyone's working together. So if you got rejected there are things at stake. That doesn't work as much now. So if you're not launching your dream business and not doing what you love and are aligned to do in the world because you're afraid of rejection, and then fear consciousness is controlling you away from your alignment, you're not getting to experience the fullness of your unique path, your alignment, because it's held you captive. Okay? So that's just one. That's just stories. Head hypnosis saps you. SAP is the acronym. It saps you. Stories, addictions is the second way that okay, I'm being controlled by head hypnosis. If there is anything that you would be attached to from a short-term gratification perspective, it's head hypnosis that's controlling you. Anything. If you have to watch Netflix, if you have to scroll on your phone. If I said, cool, I'm taking your phone, you don't have your phone anymore. Or no chocolate for you anymore. No takeaway foods. No Netflix, no cigarettes, no drinking anymore. Sorry, you're not allowed to drink anymore. If any of those, or coffee, sorry, no more coffee for you. If I threaten to take any of those away and it activates you and frustrates you or would agitate you, that's head hypnosis. It's controlling you. And the reason it feels like there would be defensiveness, you might even have stories in your head right now. This guy's too extreme. He's talking about all this stuff. He doesn't get it. That's your head hypnosis right now. Thinking that's extreme. Because it knows that if you take away its second main strategy to keep you under control, to keep you sedated, it knows that if that gets taken away, you're going to have a lot more free will. You're going to have a lot more awareness. You're going to have a lot more courage to be able to choose and live in alignment. And it doesn't want that. It doesn't want you living in presence. Because when you're in presence, you've superseded your ego. It's now dead in that moment. It's become irrelevant in that moment. So it's kind of died in a way. It's lost its utility. It doesn't want to lose its utility. It thinks that it must stay alive or you're going to die, which is not true. And so you being present is not what it wants. It wants you to be sedated. And so addictive tendencies like keeping you on your phone in scroll holes where you go into a trance-like state. When you're eating emotionally and you're just all of a sudden at the fridge, how did I even get here? And you're buying it, you're at the shops, I'm all of a sudden in the chocolate aisle. Why? Why are you there? Because your head hypnosis is trying to control you and sedate you. And it knows that that's what is required. That's what's required. So that is another form. And you just got to, you don't have to do anything with this, but you will not move out of blue pill consciousness without getting on top of these habits, these choices, by pointing out the stories and removing the addictions. You're just going to stay sedated. And that means you're in the blue pill. You're not a bad person. You're still going to get the chance to continue to step into the red pill, but you're going to be living from fear and attachment as a result because you're in survival brain versus living in fulfillment, presence, free will, freedom, choice, presence, connection, fullness, whole, holy, and wholesome. That's why when you look at my life now, to the average person that's attached, they would go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're not making millions of dollars now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're just sitting around meditating. It's not all I do, but I live a very wholesome life. So I'm not addicted to my phone. My screen time's 30 minutes or less a day. Okay. I'm not emotionally eating. I don't eat processed food. On a little occasion, if I go out, I might have something, but very rarely do I eat processed food. I cook and buy my own food. So staying off social media for the most part, just jump on for stories here and there. What else do I? Definitely don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, haven't drunk in 13, 14 years, never smoked a cigarette, never had a coffee. So I'm lucky because, well, I'm lucky because I have awareness. That's the thing that I feel the most grateful for in general. But I'm enough on top of these habits that they don't rule me and keep me in head hypnosis. I go into head hypnosis every day still, because as soon as I start to get stressed and my bandwidth decreases, my window of tolerance, my regulation homeostasis gets challenged and I get activated or triggered, boom, straight back in head hypnosis. So I go in there every single day, but I do my best to live in my heart because I want to live with freedom. And it's such a beautiful place to be because I get to experience presence. And when I'm in presence, I'm free of attachment. And you might think, well, I want to be attached to these things. Of course you do. If you're attached, why would you want to become detached? You think your survival is in jeopardy if you don't hit that thing or get that thing you're attached to. But when you liberate yourself from that, you can choose what's actually pure. When you're no longer attached to something, you're only choosing it through love. So if you're not attached to being in a relationship, then you're only going to get into one that you think is going to make your life more fulfilling. If you're attached, that's when you conveniently don't see the red flags. And you find yourself in relationships that don't serve and end up breaking up. Anything that's built off attachment and fear is eventually going to crumble for your benefit as well. Because anything that's built on attachment and fear is done from a place of lack, and it's going to continue to feed and fuel lack. But when something's done from a place of fullness, the only reason you would choose to do something if you're already feeling full is because you believe it's going to amplify the quality of your experience, because you know it's aligned. So things actually are chosen from fullness and wholeness. And what I found is that the more whole that I felt, the more wholesome my decision making is. So I don't get driven by hype as much or excitement or lured into things as much, because I know that by living in alignment with the things that keep me centered to my heart, my experience is just better. And I don't fall into the delusion of thinking my life's no good now. I'm not safe. I've got to desperately go get that thing and then I'll be safe. No, the things that are authentically aligned in my heart rise to the top. The cream rises to the top. And then I can scoop that yummy cream out and eat it. I'm not just desperately guzzling down the milk because I got to get it, I'm attached. And have that head hypnosis driving me from a place of attachment and trying to sedate me. So if you find yourself ever in a scroll hole, that's head hypnosis. Ever watch stuck and addicted to TV series, head hypnosis. YouTube videos, head hypnosis. I've already gone through them all. Anything that you would be triggered by if I was to take away from you, there's an attachment. There's a ploy. Probably not a ploy if you're already attached to it. It's actually just working. It's an addiction. And it's one of the 3 strategies that blue pill consciousness is secured as a way of being. Yeah. That's the second one. So, and if you are you now starting to see, okay, crap. And addictions, by the way, could be anything. Anything that if I took away from you would make you uneasy. If it was work, okay, addiction. If it was an identity, addiction. So for me, not working, working was one of my biggest addictions. I had lots. I would be smashing Maltesers all the time. I'd be scrolling all the time, but work was like my biggest one. And that was also a personality pattern. These are overlapping in a way, the stories and the personality protective patterns. So sap. And this is how head hypnosis saps your energy using stories, addictions, and protective patterns, personality patterns. So that's the first 2. And at this stage, you may be kind of starting to see a little bit more what red pill looks like, or just understand what red pill means. You might not understand what the experience is like yet, but if you let go of those things, if I put you in a room where you weren't allowed to do anything for 2 days except sit there and took away your technology and the food and just everything, the TV shows and deleted all the apps off your phone and blah, blah, blah. A bunch of stuff's going to come to the surface. A bunch of unprocessed emotion is going to come to the surface, because usually a lot of sedation tactics, addictions, come to block emotions, and a bunch of unprocessed pain is going to come to the surface. Once all that's cleared, your authentic self is going to be there. You're going to know what it feels like to be in your authentic self, which is when you actually have free will. And what it's going to look like is it's going to look like and feel like I'm not attached. It's optional. I can choose what I do with my life, because I am fulfillment and I'm taking my bliss on an excursion. I'm taking my presence on an excursion would be a more accurate way of describing it. So let's hit the third leg of the triad of sneaky tactics that the controller head hypnosis uses to keep you in trance, keep you sedated so it can control you and you can stay in blue pill consciousness. The third one is personality patterns. And these are just easy things that come into play. This is a multi-layered approach. I usually draw this intricate diagram at my workshops explaining this. And it's kind of like when one gets taken away, just another one subs in. So if I took the phone away, maybe a personality pattern of like manipulation comes in and says, please give it back. I'll give you a hug, or, please give it back. Or maybe it's manipulating. Please give it back. And it starts throwing these little insults. So the judger. Yeah. If you start exposing someone's head hypnosis, the personality patterns are going to kick in hard. If you said to your mum, what are you feeling underneath all this? And she goes, nothing. I'm not feeling anything. And you say, okay, well, and you start asking these deeper questions. If someone feels exposed, they're just going to get frustrated. And they're kind of like, they'll eventually get angry. Okay. So that's an example of a personality pattern. Another one is pleasing. Yeah. I'm just going to please. I'm going to manipulate, control. What are some other ones? I'm kind of going, there's more here. It could be, I am pulling out my perfectionism. And I start getting really stuck in the details. Yeah, because these personality patterns, protective patterns, are automated. And this brings me to another angle of understanding head hypnosis. It's essentially a series of programs where you don't have free will. And a metaphor to describe this a little bit deeper is, I'm just going to pause for a second. If this information that I'm sharing is a lot and your mind's kind of feeling a little bit fried, to be expected. Yeah. It could be just because a personality pattern or a protective pattern can be flight. Yeah, you might find yourself getting really tired when you're listening to that. You weren't yawning at all before, but now that I'm explaining all this stuff, you're yawning. That's head hypnosis protective patterns coming in. I'm going to flight. I'm going to exit this. It could be like, oh, I've got to go now. We'll listen to this another time. Cool. Another flight. You might go into freeze and your mind might just not be processing the information. Right. And you're getting really tired. You might be feeling frustrated or argumentative going into fight in your mind. You might have just completely kind of flighted, but be in fawn. So more of a pleasing energy where it's just like, yeah, no, I really get this. This is making sense, Ryan. Totally. This is great. I love this. And then get off and just completely forget about it. And that's when you're in an argument, just a conversation with someone. You're not really listening. You're kind of checked out. You're just like, yeah. And they're like, what did you just say? What did I just say? Sorry. And you're like, I don't know. I wasn't listening. You might go into one of those states. The procrastinator is another personality pattern. But I just wanted to say it's a lot to take in. So if you do need to pause and come back, that's okay. Or better yet, get all the way through and then re-listen to it. Because to expose head hypnosis is very challenging. To live with awareness and take the red pill is not as easy as just taking a pill that Morpheus offers. It actually requires consistent attention and reminding. We got to remember. Yeah, we got to mind it, take care of it, take care of our heart. and our head so that we can liberate ourselves from it. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. But these personality patterns are usually a backup. You see people get really flustered. So that's what I was going to say, NPC. So have you ever heard of an NPC? It stands for non-player character. So when you're playing a video game, if it's an online streaming game, you might have a bunch of people around the world that are actual human beings that are playing the game, and they're controlling it with their mic, with their controller, or the keyboard, and they're all playing. Yeah. But then in the game, programmed into it is a bunch of non-player characters. They're just algorithms, and they're like the boss that you've got to beat. If you go back to the old school days of like Super Mario, and you got Mario and the mushrooms, and you got to get to the end of the level, and then you got Big Bowser there. So you're versing the big boss, and that Bowser is not another person somewhere in the world that you're versing. It's a code. It's an algorithm. It's a non-player character. And so it doesn't have a free will consciousness. It's a programmed consciousness. And if you're in head hypnosis, you're essentially acting like an NPC. You don't have free will. The non-player character doesn't have free will. It's just a coded character. Whereas you do when you're in your heart. When you're in your head, you're in NPC mode. You don't have free will. And so part of the strategy, one of the 3 strategies of head hypnosis is personality patterns, programmed patterns. And those patterns are literally codes. They're memories. They're behavioral signatures, algorithms in your mind that your head has just calls upon. Insert this code in this moment. Boom, go. And then procrastinator goes. It's like someone's playing a game with you as the character, and it's your head hypnosis has got the controller, and you're just Mario in the game. It's like, okay, enter this personality pattern. Be a bit manipulative right now. Be aloof. Be non-present. Be distracted. Be dramatic in this moment. Get frustrated right now. And there are these behavioral patterns that are control strategies. It could be pleasing. I notice this person's pushing on me a bit in this conversation and asking me lots of deep questions. There's some emotion getting up. Now I'm going to use my personality pattern of pleasing, and I'm just going to, hey, that shirt's really nice on you. That's new. Tell me about that. Because the head hypnosis is trying to take and steer the conversation away from somewhere that's getting towards the fear of emotions and vulnerability. So it's snuckily come in and use that personality pattern to get back in control. It wasn't the person that was feeling threatened that chose to do that to deflect. Their head hypnosis chose. They're in NPC mode. They're in trance. And the head hypnosis is using protective pattern to try to get away from the perceived threat. But you're not in control. You're not in control. You're in head hypnosis. So whether it's stories that you're biting on, like, I don't have enough clarity on my niche yet to start marketing my business. If that's the story you believe in, guess what you're not going to do until you find clarity? Market. You're not going to market. So you're going to stay safe. You're not going to put yourself out there. No fear of change, no fear of rejection, no fear of trauma, no fear of losing resources like money, so you jeopardize your food and shelter. That's all protected with that one story. So head hypnosis, tick for the win. Yeah, you're in head hypnosis, you're in the blue pill consciousness, you're in fear consciousness, survival brain, right? So let's just bring it home here. Let's bring it home. And this is where I'm going to give you the actual strategies to overcome it. Strategies to overcome it. If you want to take the power of the movie, The Matrix, and you actually want to live with fulfillment and freedom, if you want to actually have free will, not be in head hypnosis, not be in a trance, not be controlled by your fear, and live with presence, connection, freedom, love, and growth, if you actually want to live your best life, which is your most fulfilling life, it comes from being in your heart. And the only way that's possible is by cultivating a relationship with that heart and awareness. If you're ignorant and you've forgot, you've become attached in that realm of fear. When someone's scared, they're attached to everything. If you're in attachment and you're noticing yourself, I need to meet that person, I need to do this. If you notice yourself in short-term gratification addictions, trying to sedate yourself, if you notice yourself telling yourself stories, if you notice yourself going into personality patterns, automated program patterns, NPC mode, the head's taking control. You're not even in free will anymore. But the moment you notice it, you have awareness, you have this beautiful glitch in the matrix. There's a little glitch, this little moment to go, I am awake. I am aware. Hold up. And you get to choose what you want to do. You're back online for the first, you might have been sleeping for 10 years and you've woken up. And that's the offer here. What does it take to live in your heart? What does it take to live with fulfillment? What does it take to actually receive the medicine of the red pill? Two things. Well, there's lots of things, but there are two things. To understand the first, to understand both of these things, you've got to look deeper than face value. Meditation is one of them, and the heart's prayer is the other. Meditation, why has it existed in lineages around the world, most traditions and cultures? Because it's powerful. Why do we resist it? Why do we tell ourselves a story? Meditation's not for me. Story, head hypnosis. The reason why is because that doesn't want you to have space to see and develop awareness. Meditation's like the most potent way to cultivate awareness. The more awareness you have, the more you're able to navigate. If you just meditate, I've meditated for probably 90 minutes on average for 6.5, almost 7 years now, straight, twice a day. I've meditated for an average of total 90 minutes, but I've meditated twice a day for that long. That's what's cultivated me into my heart more than anything else. It is a powerful, powerful practice. You might have a story. Don't have time to meditate. You might have a story. My meditation's walking in nature. My meditation's surfing. My meditation is dancing. Cool stories, but you're being directed by head hypnosis. Meditation is the red pill. It's one of the red pills that you can eat. The second one, which is more of because meditation, you get that practice going, you've got to learn to meditate. There's a big difference between I'm going to do a whole episode on this, doing a meditation, yeah, I meditate, and actually being a meditator. I don't miss 2 meditations a day. Ever. Doesn't matter whether I'm doing a 16-hour day of work. Doesn't matter whether I'm in the middle of nowhere. Doesn't matter what happens. I never miss my 2 meditations. If I do, I'll go straight back into head hypnosis, straight back into ignorance. I'll be forgetting. I'll become attached again. My head's going to try to sedate me more. I'm going to become less healthy. I'm going to be feeling less whole, prioritizing less wholesome things, which will make it even harder again, because the more unhealthy I am, the more sedated I am, the easier it is for my head hypnosis to control me. And it's going to be harder and harder to meditate, to get awareness, to be able to transcend head hypnosis and the buoy pill consciousness in the first place. So meditation is the first one, but to become a meditator and use meditation as a skill that is a superpower in your back pocket, you've got to become a meditator, not do a guided meditation. And 3 recommendations of learning meditation. Transcendental meditation. This is all a being technique. Remember, we're human beings. A being technique pretty much means that you just transcend your human consciousness and go straight into oneness, straight into the most macro form of the heart. And that's the most potent form. It is the most potent form. And it doesn't mean other meditations aren't supportive as well. But to become a meditator, I suggest learning to meditate with a being technique. There are 3 types that I know of. Transcendental meditation, or TM, Vedic meditation, or one giant mind being technique. They're the 3. I created my own core meditation. And you can learn that from me if you're local. If you're in Melbourne, you can hit me up and I can teach you. But I recommend learning from somewhere locally so you can join the community. Okay? Vedic meditation, One Giant Mind, TM. Learn to meditate. Become a meditator. Actually be someone who meditates twice a day. It's a huge difference when you invest in a course to learn. And once you have the skill, and you've joined the community of any of those techniques, you can go back and relearn either very cheaply or freely. So you can go and you can attend free events. It's in a powerful community. If you don't have that under your toolkit, you're just missing the most powerful form of cultivating awareness and staying in your heart. Red pill consciousness, freedom, fulfillment. Yeah. Become a meditator. That's the first one. I'm going to do a whole episode on meditation. My next episode. The second one is practice the heart's prayer. You can go back to the episode that I've done called Stay Empowered or Staying Empowered, the 4 heart truths in brackets. The 4 heart truths are the foundation of the heart's prayer. It's 4 truths, just natural truths, that the way that we can see life when we are in the heart is very different to when we're in the head. They are reminders. They are pointers to remember, come back to fullness. It is a very unique practice that I created that is super powerful. And I do it every single day. And it helps me stay in my heart and transcend head hypnosis, trance, every single day. It is a direct pointer back to red pill consciousness for the sake of this episode, being back into awareness. It points you to awareness where you forget. See, the trouble is not understanding the power of this wisdom. Getting it intellectually doesn't mean a huge amount because it's navigating the way that head hypnosis saps you with stories, addictions, and personality patterns. SAP. If you start meditating now, you might not believe me, but in 5 to 10 years time, all of your current addictions are no longer going to be addictions, in my opinion. It depends on your consciousness, but right now, if you can come and watch me and be a fly on the wall, maybe you can tell me the addictions that I haven't been able to kind of move through. I'm sure I've got some blind spots and sneaky ways that my head keeps me trapped, but they just naturally dropped off. If you tried to tell me my addiction of working would be transcended 6.5 years ago, 7 years ago when I started meditating, I would have just said, no, it won't. You're wrong. It's just not going to happen because of how attached I was, how addicted I was. But with the awareness, you will transcend that. Anyway, moving back, the heart's prayer, the 4 heart truths. To understand it, go listen to that episode, Staying Empowered. We'll put it in the show notes here. If you're in Melbourne, I run Heart's Prayer events consistently in Paran near the city. So you can just keep an eye out on my socials, at @TheRyanMagic on Insta, and you can find it there. But learning the hearts, I'm going to write a full book on it. It's going to be a very thick, in-depth book. It doesn't really do it justice just listening to a podcast episode on it, but at least it's going to give you a start. I spend 3 days at my signature workshop, which is what the call to action is here. Do the Art of Courage workshop. Even if you've got to fly international for it, it literally is a ticket to living in your heart. It's a ticket to fulfillment. And I go deep into how to live free of head hypnosis. In there, I teach the heart's prayer super in depth. It's such a powerful experience. I highly recommend it. If what I'm talking about resonates and you actually want to live in the red pill consciousness, come along. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for your head hypnosis to stay in control. You're going to make the call though and feel the call. But it's kind of like charging up a practice. The heart's prayer and the 4 heart truths, the level of depth to which you understand the nuance of those 4 truths, the more power that daily practice or several times daily practice has. The more you understand each of the 4 heart truths, the more potency and power it has in your life. And so if you come along to a Heart's Prayer event where I spend a few hours talking about it, it's going to help you a lot. If you listen to the 90-minute episode or whatever it is in the podcast, sure, that's going to help you as well. But if you jump into the 36-hour experience of the art of fulfillment, which used to be the art of courage, same event, new name. If you spend 3 12-hour days with me, 36 hours charging up, understanding the 4 heart truths, and being led through a series of experiences which are going to challenge you to push those addictions, stories, and patterns to the side, you will liberate yourself. And that's even something that I encourage. 4 of the 9 attendees of the last one are coming to the next one. If you check out my cover photo on Facebook, a couple of people commented saying it was the best experience they've ever had. I highly recommend coming along if you resonate with the message of this podcast. Okay? So that's what to do. Learn to meditate. If you're in Melbourne, just get into the Heart's Prayer. Hit me up and I'll teach you to meditate, or join a community. That's wherever you are locally. Vedic meditation, TM, One Giant Mind, all powerful modalities, all being techniques. They're going to support you and help you to make meditation a habit. I will talk about meditation in a separate podcast, so keep an eye out for that one. But that is the end of this episode. I love you guys to bits. If you want to find out more about the art of fulfillment, the workshop, the 3-day workshop, just email me, ryan@ryanmagic.com. I love you guys. Peace out, and I'll see you all on the next episode.